Today we're talking about finding time for music. We're talking about how to identify original pressings. We're talking about Rolling Stones. We're talking about Led Zeppelin. All that and tons more coming up on this episode of Ask Me Anything. Hi, my name is Frank.
I'm Sherry.
And you are watching channel 33 RPM, your channel for vinyl, gear, and more. Look who's back. It's Sherry, Mrs. Channel 33 RPM, for what has become our monthly AMA segment, Ask Me Anything. Tons of good stuff coming up, as we discussed in the intro there. So without further ado,
here's question number one. Question number one comes from Unspecified 24/7. Frank, I'd like to hear your thoughts on record listening, curating time balance with all of your responsibilities.
It's a good question, and here is the truth of the matter. Vinyl records, more than any other format, are a huge time suck. The thing with records is you have to be where the record player is. It's not a portable format. I mean, not so much anymore, but back in the day, you listen to cassettes in the car. You can listen to CDs in the car, but where the record is, you kind of have to be
where the player is.
Where the player is. And I'm sure this is, particularly I think at this stage in our lives, young kids and houses and mortgages and jobs, there's not a lot of time in the week. So you really do have to make a conscious effort, I think, to find time to listen to your records.
You take some time, though. Friday nights is usually when you're spinning vinyl and stuff. That's kind of your time to do that thing. When we have company over, we try to spin a little bit of vinyl in addition to just playing something that's like on Deezer or Spotify.
So that's the key. I mean, yes, how do you balance all that? I think you have to decide what your priorities are and then find a way to balance all that. So as Sherry said, Friday nights are Frank night. I'm in the basement. And those of you who follow Channel 33 on Instagram and Twitter will see I'm always on Friday nights usually posting pictures of the records I'm spinning and whatnot.
What does our daughter call your blues music, blues or jazz?
So the other thing we do is I often cook breakfast on Sundays, and I also play records cooking breakfast. So the other day I was spinning some jazz or some blues, and Ellie called it pancake music.
Yeah.
And I said, why is that pancake music? And she said, because you always play that when you're making pancakes. So that's the other thing. Friday nights, plus when I'm cooking meals, we have a second stereo system upstairs. I like to listen to records during that time as well, and when people are over and whatnot. But here's the other thing that I'm going to confess something to you guys. Most of my music listening, not most, but a large majority of it is actually streaming. I listen to Spotify way more than I listen to physical media, and that's just because my commute to work is half an hour each way. I'm in the car for an hour a day. I listen to podcasts, but also a lot of tunes and albums on Spotify as well. It's I have the time to listen to it. So in a given week, I probably listen to more streaming music than records. Yep. Next question.
Next question comes from Tom Hart. You may have covered this in an earlier edition, but I've never heard a good answer to this question. Say you find a copy of Let's Dance in a used record bin. How do you know whether you're holding the original or a re-release?
This is another good question. I've actually been asked this a few times. And if you're talking about a recent reissue, those are fairly easy to spot. Recent reissues, back in the day, a lot of records, no records that I recall really came in 180 gram, like thick vinyl. Colored vinyl wasn't much of a thing. So if you're spotting a record in a used bin, it's 180 gram. If it is colored, if it's pink, if it's swirl, it's likely a recent reissue. But I have a feeling, Tom? I have a feeling Tom was talking more about how would you identify a record from back in the day, like from the 80s, if it was the first pressing of a Bowie album or if it was when they came out a few years later. And that gets a little bit trickier. There are ways to do it. When you get into this hobby to a certain level, you start being able to notice things like record labels. The labels on the actual records and record companies change them as the years went on. So you're like, oh, this is what the Columbia label looked like in 73, and this is what it looked like in 79. Those subtle differences. That's really nerdy stuff. You can also buy field guides. I have an Alice Cooper guide to collectibles. It's got all the detailed stuff about identifying various pressings. But there's a really easy way to do it nowadays. You got your smartphone with you, research on the internet. Websites like Discogs are a huge resource. The detailed information on almost any release you can imagine. So just punch in the catalog number on the record, and Discogs will give you a lot of results and spit out some detailed information that will help you identify that record and to be able to tell if it's a first pressing or whatnot, down to sort of the lettering and the dead wax and all those sorts of things. But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't really worry too much about whether it's like a 1984 pressing or a 1985 pressing. I'm more concerned about how it sounds.
Can I ask my own question for Ask Me Anything Friday? Because I have a sub-question of that.
Relate to this one?
Yes, kind of.
Okay, Sherry's asking a question. Go for it.
So if you're out shopping and you're looking for first editions or second editions, is there anything in the history of all bands and all music and all records released where a second or third or fourth edition was more valuable than the first edition?
Oh my gosh. Probably. I'm going to have to think about this. Channel 33ers, you weigh in. That's a good question that Sherry's asking, and maybe you guys can weigh in with an answer.
Thank you.
So, Sherry, I didn't prepare you for this.
I know, and I asked you before you told me what the questions were. I said, are there any other questions? And you said, no.
This is not a question, but I remember I think it was the last AMA you did, we were asked about our least favorite genres of music.
Oh, boy.
And you indicated that your least favorite genre of music was rap. I'll play the clip here right now.
My least favorite, I always say, is rap.
Really?
Yeah, rap is not my thing.
So there's the evidence, but I think I have...
Fake news!
I think and some of you guys really didn't like that answer. They were angry at you. But I think I have a song here that's going to change your mind and make you love rap.
Is it me rapping?
No, it's me rapping.
Like to go on the record as saying this was recorded after we got married.
Next question.
Our next question comes from Lee J. Maynard. Stones or Zeppelin, which one are you more likely to spin?
Oh man, you go first.
Okay, I would say the Stones. It does not mean I don't like Zeppelin.
For all you haters out there.
I don't want no hate mail. I do like Zeppelin. I like the Stones. I like them both, but I'm more likely to spin the Stones just because I know more of their songs. So that's...
Me, I would have answered Led Zeppelin like 20 years ago. But some Led Zeppelin albums I've gotten so tired of over the years. I blame classic rock radio, particularly Zeppelin 2 and Zeppelin 4. So I'm going to pick the Rolling Stones. And I'm going to take it one step further. My favorite Rolling Stones album is an album I don't think gets a lot of attention. That's Goat's Head Soup. I love that. It's funky, it's dirty, it's grimy. I love that. That's my favorite era of the Rolling Stones, early 70s, like Exile on Main Street, Sticky Fingers, but particularly Goat's Head Soup. Check it out if you haven't heard that album. Okay,
our last question comes from Savannah McGrancy. Hi there, love your channel. I just have a question. What's the best way to not ruin the corners to a record cover?
I gotta apologize to Savannah because we attempted to answer this question in an AMA.
Yep. We did ask it, we did answer it, and I was just notified that somebody didn't include it in the video.
Yeah, I didn't like my answer, so I edited it out of the video. Then Savannah sent me a message saying, you never answered my question. You never answered my question.
Savannah.
The question was...
The question is, what's the best way to not ruin the corners to a record cover?
Right. I've never encountered this problem before that I can recall, but I think it's because... I use sleeves. I always use outer sleeves for my records. What are you looking for?
I'm looking at all your corners because you must have something that's been damaged. Not all of your records were bought brand new. So there must be some that have just been like worn because see like there it's
oh yeah, I guess. So maybe that's what she's talking about, kind of the wear and tear.
Yeah.
So I just pulled some random records off the shelf and they're all falling here.
I guess it's going to be really hard to really kind of solve against that because everything will get torn or worn a little bit.
Yeah, I guess she's talking about those corners that get kind of worn out like that. Okay, I wasn't sure what she meant by it, but that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely there's some damage on some of these ones, but that's not damage I would say I've caused. That was just they're used records, so that's the way I would have bought them. And in terms of the records I bought new, I always protect them by putting them in outer sleeves.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way in preventing sort of the wear and tear you see on the corners, which is what I'm sure that Savannah was referring to. Use some TLC. Don't throw your records around. I'm not saying you are doing that, but again, back to the original point is try some motor sleeves if you haven't already, and they should go a long way in protecting your investment. All right, 33ers, that is this month's episode of Ask Me Anything. Ask us anything. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Also, we need some more questions for the next episode, so if you have a question for me or for Sherry, leave it below and we will do our best to get at it. Did you have fun this time?
I had fun.
I appreciate you
I got my own question now.
Got your own question in, so yeah, please answer Sherry's question as well. Otherwise, dear 33ers, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the button, all that good stuff. Until next time, until next weekend, dear 33ers, keep on spinning.